For the longest time, I have been trying to create a video expressing my thoughts on a film like liberal arts. And before you condemn the movie just by the name, no, it's not about students at a liberal arts university dancing on tabletops, trying to spread a little bit of happiness in the world and sticking it to their wealthy parents who want them to get a STEM degree. It's written and directed by Josh Radnor, and according to me, I think is one of his masterpieces. On the surface, it looks like an ordinary indie film about regular people, but if you kind of sit down and think about it, it's a great insight into Jesse's state of mind as a 19-year-old, as a 35-year-old, and as a 60-something-year-old, but symbolized through various characters he forms relationships with throughout the film. The film begins with Jesse, who is midway through his 30s. This is where we're first introduced to him. He's a college admissions counselor for a university in New York. As you may have guessed, Jesse's life isn't that glorious.
Wow, that's a real accomplishment. Congratulations. I mean, you're not in yet. You know, you have a campus called New York City. So you don't want to go to college? You know, I'm not up to date on the course catalog. Where do you see things going, you know, after college? Have you heard about the meal plan? Fantastic.
He's the sort of person that lives in his own mind, having a totally separate conversation in his head, but is forced to be present here in this moment. He also loves to read. It's his only escape from reality. At the laundromat, he refuses to put down the book until he has to put the coin in the machine, so much so that the guy is able to rob his clothes. Not sure why he felt desperate to rob someone's dirty laundry, but that's life, you know. The moment Jesse finds out his clothes have disappeared, he takes off after the guy to give it a legitimate try, but doesn't really make a meaningful attempt because he knows there's no way he was going to be able to catch up to him, and just gives up. Most probably a very clever analogy of his life so far. We are quickly brought up to speed about his love life, which has broken down, as indicated by the scene, as she's literally packing up her stuff to move out of the apartment. Even during this scene, he is still reading, trying to avoid the moment that is taking place right in front of him, his ex-girlfriend moving out. Since all his clothes were robbed, he's got a new shirt on. She notices it and comments on it.
Is that a new shirt?
And his immediate reply is,
Do you like it?
To which she says,
It's not my job to make you feel good about yourself anymore.
This is another half-assed, half-hearted way of a final attempt to make amends. A subtle way of relaying without gigantic exposition that this guy is not fully content being himself and is probably suffering some kind of depression. Out of the blue, he gets a call from his old college professor, Peter.
Hello?
Jesse Fisher,
Yeah.
your favorite communist.
And Peter invites Jesse for his farewell dinner. The geezer is finally retiring after 37 years at the university, and Jesse agrees almost immediately.
Yeah, I'll be there.
Stepping back onto the university grounds is like going back in time, a time where he was relatively happier than he is now. The university is also a place where he meets a younger version of himself, Dean. Their first interaction with each other is regarding an obscure, dark, soul-crushing book that Jesse read when he was attending university. Dean, aside from his manic breakdown, is a person that has realized that nothing really matters and there's no fucking point to any of this, and has essentially given up trying. He wants to care for the sake of his mother.
My mom's a nurse. She raised me on her own.
And is proud her son is going to university, probably the first one in their family. He wants to give a shit because it means something to his mother, but it just doesn't stick. He knows that none of this has any meaning to life, which is what Jesse probably felt when he was young as well. He's Jesse, just 15 years younger.
How you been? Any better?
No. I kind of just wish this would all be over as soon as possible.
Dean's issue highlighted in the movie is that he hates college, but is that really the problem he's facing? Like Jesse says,
It's the only time you get to do this. You get to sit around, read books all day, have really great conversations about ideas. Well, out in the world, they're not really doing that.
Dean is just unhappy about life in general.
I just can't get around the fact that I'm aggressively unhappy here.
The bane of his despair about life is nihilism, which is a logical conclusion to life. Nothing really matters. Why even wake up? Why even try? Still young, but so far ahead of the curve, a genius for the lonesome fact that he peered into the abyss and deciphered the world's dirty secret and didn't want to continue the fantasy/delusion anymore.
Dean?
I just took a lot of pills.
Stunted by his own mental limitation about the purposefulness of his actions, like that was the only metrics to which life should be lived on a daily basis. And if there's no meaning to life, then there's no meaning at all. A point of view that a young Jesse Fisher probably agreed with because he understood what Dean is going through.
Listen to me, man. This right now, all this stuff you're feeling, this is a footnote. And you're going to get out in the world and stumble into something like contentment. I know it.
Jesse also meets a younger version of himself he would have preferred to be in Zibby, a 19-year-old who's enjoying life as it comes with her whole life ahead of herself. She's in an improv group that has taught her the vital and important lesson of
how everything in life is basically improvised. There's no script, we're just making this up as we go.
And the important thing is, she isn't scared about it.
Well, improv is deep, man.
She wears her heart on her sleeve and does not analyze everything down to the minute detail. She's exhilarated to know that life doesn't really have a central meaning as long as she has the freedom to create her own. This is liberating because she has the ability to create her own meaning and purpose by pursuing happiness, whatever that may mean, on her own terms, rather than being burdened by a purpose that is thrusted upon her by her parents or the generation that came before her. Jesse is enamored by Zibby's fearlessness towards how uncertain life can be, how carefree and seemingly optimistic she is to the idea that it's going to be alright, even if things aren't alright. She's also advanced for her age to even think about concepts like these, when every college-age teenager would just like to get shit-faced and party hard. Not that there's anything wrong with that. To Jesse, Zibby is the odd one out because like him, she prefers a deeper connection. This is such an easy recipe for attraction. Although Jesse is certainly attracted to her physical appearance, he's more attracted to her because he wanted to be as carefree as her. He's attracted to the optimism she exudes even after knowing that the world is not just sunshine and rainbows. And knowing what she knows this young and still waking up with a smile on her face is very courageous, at least from Jesse's point of view, something he probably had little of and eventually lost a long time ago. As you age, gain more responsibilities, face setback after setback, you kind of lose the ability to feel things anymore. You learn to accept your downfalls, numbing yourself, and slowly losing the ability to appreciate the pockets of good moments that come your way because you're essentially too scared to even feel anymore. Remember I said Jesse was at the university to take part in a farewell dinner for his professor? Let's talk about Peter for a moment because he symbolizes Jesse's potential future.
Nah,
Oh, please, that's a great shirt. You know the trouble I caused in this shirt?
I can only imagine.
Peter seems quite pleased that he's retiring from his tenure at the university after 37 years, only for that facade to crumble faster than a lawn chair during hurricane season. At the farewell dinner, Peter is overcome with a sense of purposelessness as the reality finally sets in.
That's just... Where does the time go? This seems impossible. 37 years. 37.
He doesn't have the faintest idea what is next once he leaves the university. He disguises his apparent dread as a sort of a cheap throwaway joke as everyone watches him break mentally right there on stage.
You know, I worry that I've been here so long that I'll be lousy being anyplace else.
Peter is essentially institutionalized. 37 years at the university and he has no idea where the time went by. He just can't believe it. In his mid-30s, Peter was probably in a much similar position as Jesse is right now. Even with a secure career as a tenured professor at a prestigious university, he probably wondered if that was all that life had to offer him. Going back to his young adolescent days, brimming with hope that he'd be out there, carpe dieming until the cows came home, only to settle for the safest choice possible, institutionalizing himself over the years because again, the uncertainty would most probably scare the communism out of him. It's scary to think the amount of times we waste just hoping that life would give us the green light to make that unprecedented move towards our dreams, only to find out that life really doesn't give a shit and just continues to suck while we wait so desperately, so anxiously and so depressively for that signal to turn green that we've wasted all of our youth, only to find out that we should have just put the pedal to the floor and really hoped for the best. But by the time you realize that important lesson, you're too old anyway and now are too scared to make those risky moves anymore. And I believe that's exactly what Peter is going through at this stage in his life. As the movie progresses, Peter regrets his retirement and ends up begging for his job back.
I think I may have spoken too soon. I think I still got a little gas in the tank is all.
That's how much he's scared of uncertainty. Tying this back to Jesse, he will probably not find a better career for himself than his current college admissions gig because why try, right? Things aren't chaotic, everything is stable, he's found a routine he's comfortable with. Trying to strive for something better will certainly bring in more negative feelings since you gotta actually try something new, and the possibility that you will fail is fucking dreadful enough to cripple him. And years will go by, just like his professor, when he will be congratulated by his peers for a continued 30 years of employment, where he will have the exact same reaction like his old professor, not knowing where the time went by.
You think this place is a prison?
Any place you don't leave is a prison.
Jesse's interaction with Ms. Fairfields gave him the reality check he needed. Jesse was attracted to her due to her incredible ability to teach British Romantic literature.
I loved her British Romantic Lit class. She was like the best teacher I had here. She was like the second best teacher I had here.
It formed a formidable part of Jesse's value structure and escapism into bookish fantasy. Even through the nihilism, he still held out a sliver of romantic hope that things would turn out for him, and at the end, things would eventually be fine. A hope that had since burnt out as a result of being an adult. He was so enthusiastic to meet her after all those years, wanting to have any interaction with her to try and express how much her class moved him. He does finally get a chance to meet her and have an extensive conversation where he just gushes over with such great enthusiasm, and this is the happiest Jesse is throughout the entire film.
Your class. Oh, I can gush. Right? I mean, I still think about it.
They end up hooking up and everything is fucking awesome. Until Jesse finds out Miss Fairfields isn't who he thought she was, and that was probably the worst gut punch of all. For him, it was akin to knowing Santa or the Tooth Fairy was never real.
Or thinking we were going to cuddle the rest of the night as I read you Wordsworth.
Not anymore.
Mrs. Fairfields, sadly, isn't a romantic. Over the years of teaching, she realized that people and life at large will let you down. She has some advice for him.
People are disappointing. My advice to you, put some armor around that gooey little heart of yours.
His choices going forward are: don't try anything new and live to regret it 30 years later, or toughen up and do something about it now. And I think it's probably the best advice he's gotten in a while. Ironically, from a romantics professor. Liberal Arts is an excellent movie, especially for the indie darlings. As much as you and I would love the spectacle of the big budget Hollywood pictures, it's films like these that really highlight the reason why movies were made to begin with. Oh, and Zac Efron's in it too. And with that said, it's my cue to leave. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Bye bye.